In this class, let us start with atomic magnetism. Right? Now, we know that the source of magnetism is moving charges, right? Now, at the atom, so electrons are constantly revolving. Now, these revolving electrons, so they are actually moving, right? Now, due to them, so we will get some magnetic field. Okay, so we can see some magnetic field due to the revolving electrons, right? Now, as we studied in chapter number 5, so the magnetic properties of materials, it all depends on the arrangement of these dipoles. Okay, so dipole, you can consider a current carrying loop as a dipole, you can consider a bar magnet as a dipole, a solenoid can be considered as a magnetic dipole, like that. Fine. Right. Now, speaking of this revolution of electrons around the nucleus, so it approximates to a current carrying loop, correct? Fine. Now, let us discuss in detail one after the other. Fine. Now, let us write revolving electron. Okay, revolving electron, it can be consider it as a current carrying loop. Okay, current carrying loop. Fine. So this is the first point. And because of this revolving electron, see, this is the orbit of the electron, let us say. Now this is the nucleus. Fine. Now since this electron is revolving with some velocity, orbital velocity, right? Now you will see some magnetic field at the center, correct? So you will see some magnetic field due to the revolution of electron, correct? Now the direction of the magnetic field, it is given by the right hand rule, correct? Fine. So here, yes, so magnetic field will be produced at the nucleus, okay, where the nucleus is present, right? Now if you recall few properties about this revolution of electron around the nucleus, so it is something like this. So nucleus, say the net charge is Ze. Okay, now we'll take one particular electron which is revolving around its orbit. Fine. Now when this electron is moving with some velocity v, and say the distance between the nucleus and the electron is r, okay, right, then what can we say here is Bohr's postulates, right? So Bohr's postulates, we will use this centripetal force. Okay, now centripetal force will be provided by the electrostatic force between the electron and the nucleus, correct? Now we say mv square by r, that will be equal to, now electrostatic force, that is given by k stands for 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and q1 is the charge on the nucleus and q2 is the electronic charge, because we are seeing what is the electrostatic force acting on the electron due to the nucleus. Okay, fine. divided by r square, correct? Fine. So this we will use, okay, this will use in the upcoming derivation calculations. Okay, fine. Now one more thing about Bohr's postulate is that the angular momentum of the revolving electron, will say, we'll write it as mvr, right? Now this is the basic definition of angular momentum. Mass, L, right? So L will write it as r cross p, right? So this is how we write. Now p is mv, that, so we'll get it like that. Fine. Now L is equal to mvr is by the basic definition. Now according to Bohr, the angular momentum of the revolving electron, okay, it is given as nh divided by 2 pi. Okay, now where n represents the orbital, okay, so n is equal to 1, it represents the first orbital, second orbital, like that. Okay, so n goes on like this. Right? So this is what we have studied, right? Then coming to the elements of let us look into the relation between magnetic moment, and the angular momentum. Why it is important, you will come to know. Angular momentum of a charged particle, or you can say, let us talk about an electron first, okay, then we can extend the topic to a charged particle. Okay, right, relation between magnetic moment and the angular momentum of an electron, right? Now here consider this as the orbit of the electron. This is the orbit of the electron, E. Okay, now this is nucleus, its charge is Ze, okay, and its velocity is V. Fine. Now the angular momentum, magnitude of the angular momentum, we'll write it as mvr, correct? Fine. Now in this case, angular momentum is, as you know, here we'll consider here m stands for mass of electron. Okay, see in this particular discussions now and for the following discussions, let us choose m as the magnetic moment, small m, because we are considering the same symbol throughout, right? Even before starting this these classes, right? Now me, this, okay, me will call it as the mass of electron. Okay, so let us stick to these notations. Right? So MEVR, right? Now if you use your right hand rule, again cross product, right? R cross B, right? R cross B if you do, so this is your R, let us say. Fine, if you do R cross B, so the direction of the angular momentum, right? So that direction of the angular momentum, it will be this way. So this is your direction of angular momentum. And now speaking of magnetic moment, okay, magnetic moment, the value is given as IA, right? Now what is area here? So let us take magnitude wise. So magnitude, it is I into, now A is pi r square. R is the distance between the nucleus and that electron. Okay, fine. Now here, next what we can do is, we have to find out I, right? So I, as you all know, we'll write it as E divided by T. Okay, T is period of revolution. Okay, time period of revolution. Time taken for one complete revolution. Okay, T is time period of revolution. So what we can get here is E by T, right? So T, we can also substitute 2 pi by omega, right? So T will substitute as 2 pi by omega. Now this omega will go to the numerator. So you'll get I is equal to E omega divided by 2 pi, right? Now you can also write I as EF, okay? So where F is the frequency, correct? Now here F stands for frequency. That is number of revolutions per second, right? Now as you all know, F is inversely proportional to the time period. Okay, F is inversely proportional to the time period, right? Now let us put this value here. So M, correct, we got it as I pi r square. Now in place of I, we have E omega divided by 2 pi times pi r square. Okay, right? So pi and pi will get cancelled, so you'll get this magnetic moment M as the value as, so E omega r square divided by 2 pi. Okay, now let us get the ratio of magnetic moment to the angular momentum. Okay, otherwise, let us try to express this magnetic moment. Pi got cancelled, right? Yeah, so E omega r square divided by 2, that's all, right? So M, right? So M, magnitude of M, we can write it as now I, right? So I, we got it as this angular momentum, right? So that we got it as MEVR, okay, right? So here, if you take the ratio of M divided by so the above expression E omega r square by 2, so let us take it as E omega. Now for omega, you know, V is equal to R omega. Linear velocity is radius times the angular velocity, right? So V, I can write it as, or omega I can write it as V by R, right? So E V by R, then R square 2. So this you can also write it as E V R by 2. Okay, now let us, somehow we have to try to bring in the concept of angular momentum. So for that, let us multiply and divide by mass of the electron. Okay, so if you multiply and divide by mass of electron, now this MeVr, okay, so this MeVr we can write it as E divided by 2 Me into L. Okay, now since you have vectors in LHS and RHS, you'll come to know that this you will assign a negative sign. It only tells you magnetic moment and angular momentum are in opposite direction. So in this particular scenario, okay, right, so you can check that, right. Magnetic moment is given by right hand rule, I, right. So here if the electron flow is anti-clockwise, the direction of current will be clockwise. Okay, if the direction of the current is clockwise, you can use your right hand rule. So you will get to know that the magnetic moment M will be into the plane of the screen in perpendicularly. All right, fine. So this is what we have got. Fine. Now if you take the ratio of M divided by L magnitude wise, okay, let us take magnitude wise. Magnetic moment, the ratio of magnetic moment to the angular momentum, right. So we defined this ratio, we will give a name for that. So if you recall, we will also call it as the gyromagnetic ratio. Okay, take any charged particle, okay, so charged particle or charged body, fine. Now you just have to see what is its magnetic moment and its angular momentum, take the ratio, so that will give you the gyromagnetic ratio, right. Now the gyromagnetic ratio, its value is E divided by 2 Me, okay, E divided by 2 Me. Fine. All right, so this is about applying the concept of current, that is revolving electron is considered to be a current, correct, because it's a moving charge. Moving charge we will consider it as a current, right. Okay, and what is the relation between magnetic moment and the angular momentum? Right, so we have seen this already. Okay, now let us go to the next topic. Okay, next let us see about this concept called as Bohr magneton, right. So you know about this, fine. Now Bohr magneton we had studied in chapter number 4, right. Now it's denoted by the symbol mu b. Okay, now it is defined as, it is the magnetic moment, it is the magnetic moment of the orbital electron which revolves in the first orbit, okay, which revolves in the first orbit. Okay, so this is the basic definition of Bohr magneton. Okay, fine. Now can we find its value? Yes, we can find its value, it's easy. So you know magnetic moment, right. So magnetic moment, just now we defined its value, right, magnitude wise I am writing. So M, we'll write it as E L divided by 2 Me, correct. Now we will consider Bohr's postulates here, right. Now according to Bohr's postulates, we have L is equal to NH divided by 2 pi and N is equal to 1 corresponds to that first orbital, fine, right. Now we'll say M is equal to E. Now in place of L, let us substitute this, okay. So we'll get NH divided by 2 pi into 2 Me, right. So finally we got NEH divided by 4 pi Me, right. Now let us substitute N is equal to 1, okay. So if N is equal to 1, we'll say the magnetic moment, right, that will be equal to the Bohr magneton, right. So that's all. So we'll say mu b, that will be equal to EH divided by 4 pi Me. Okay, Me is mass of electron. All right, fine. Now if we substitute the values, so E is electronic charge, H is the Planck's constant, and Me is the mass of the electron. So we will get the value close to 9.23 into 10 power minus 24 ampere meter square. Okay, ampere meter square. So this is called as Bohr magneton. All right, fine. Now next topic, let us see atomic magnetism. Atomic magnetism for the first orbit of hydrogen atom. Okay, for the first orbit of hydrogen atom, right. Now consider an electron which is revolving in the first orbit of the hydrogen atom. All right, fine. Now here let us try to get an idea about the values. Okay, now here we will take the approximate values. Okay, so we can say the values what we are considering here as approximate values. Fine. Now this is a hydrogen atom, correct? Fine. This is an hydrogen atom, and we are considering the electron. No, it has only one electron, right? Fine. Now the distance, okay, r, then its velocity. Okay, we are just trying to write the approximate values. It is found that the approximate velocity, right, the magnitude of the velocity, right, so it is found to be 2 into 10 power 6 meter per second. Okay, and the frequency of revolution, how many revolutions in 1 second, so it is found to be 6 into 10 power 15 revolutions per second. Okay, revolutions per second, or you can simply say hertz, no problem. Okay, better to write revolutions per second only. Fine, so not a problem. Okay, so let us write it as revolutions per second. Okay, right. Now the radius, right, the radius, it is somewhere around 0.5 angstrom. Okay, 0.5 angstrom. Now if you substitute all these values, we can find the current, right? So the current, we'll write it as E divided by T, otherwise E into F. F stands for frequency, which is 1 by T, right? So it is approximately equal to 1 milliampere. Okay, 1 milliampere. Now if you consider this revolving electron as a current carrying loop, now we know the magnetic field or magnetic induction at the center of the current carrying loop, it is given as mu naught I divided by 2r. Okay, fine. Now if we substitute the values, so here r is the radius, which is 0.5 angstrom itself, so 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 into I is 1 milliampere. Now radius is 0.5 angstrom. Angstrom is 10 power minus 10. So in the numerator you have 10 power minus 10, the denominator also you have 10 power minus 10. Now 2 into 0.5 is 1, so this will be 4 pi Tesla. Okay, so you can write it as 4 pi T also, but T is not time period here, remember it is Tesla. Okay, so this will be the magnetic field at the center, that is at the nucleus. Okay, Bn is magnetic field at nucleus. Okay, at the position of nucleus, you can say, right? Now what about magnetic moment here? So magnetic moment, as we all know, it is equal to Bohr magneton, right? So that was 9 point because we are considering the first orbit, right? So 9.23 into 10 power minus 24 ampere meter square. Okay, right. Okay, the next topic we'll see about gyromagnetic ratio of an isolated charged body and a few uniformly charged bodies also, right? Now you have to, when I say angular momentum, it's understood that it is revolving. Let us consider uniform circular motion. Okay, right. Now here we have, say this is a point O, okay, about which a charged body is actually revolving. Okay, this is the point O about which a charged body is revolving, right? Now say the charge magnitude is q, okay, and its velocity is some v. Okay, right. Now if you consider the first, I need to get m, right? So m magnitude wise I'm writing, so m is ia, right? So I into pi, area is area of the loop itself, that is pi r square. Let us say r is the radius here. Okay, r is the radius. Then I, right? So I can write it as q divided by t. Okay, so q divided by t into pi r square, right? Now there are many forms. See, many forms in which you can express this magnetic moment. So for t, I can write 2 pi divided by omega. Then pi will come here. Then r square. Or instead of this t, you can also write it as 1 by t. You can also write it as f. Okay, fine. So pi and pi will get cancelled. Now you have q omega r square divided by 2. Okay, right. Now, as you know, we can also write it as q v r divided by 2, because omega is equal to v by r. Okay, So if you put this in this equation, so you will end up getting QVR by 2. All right. So we have found an expression for m. Now if you try to find an expression, try to get the expression for angular momentum, right? So angular momentum, it will simply be magnitude, you can write it as mvr. All right. Now let us try to get the ratio of m divided by L, right? So m by L, so we got it as QVR divided by 2. Now the whole thing divided by mvr. Okay. Remember, okay, now here let me take m as q. mq means mass of the charge. Okay. So I'll write here mq as m sub q. Okay, m sub q, mass of charge. All right. So m here, simply if I say m, it means magnetic moment. Okay. So m sub q, subscript q, it tells you mass of the charge. Okay. Right. Now yeah, so everything else is fine. Now what you can do is VR will get cancelled. Right. Now the ratio, otherwise gyromagnetic ratio, right? So you are getting it as q divided by 2mq. Okay, q divided by 2mq, right? So the ratio of magnetic moment to the angular momentum, it is given by q by 2m. Fine. Now let us consider an example of a uniformly charged body. It is a uniformly charged body which is rotating or revolving, or you can say due to this revolution or due to the rotation or revolution of this body, you will see that the charges are in motion with respect to something. Okay, with respect to some reference, you can say. Fine. For that, let us consider magnetic moment. Okay, so ratio of m and L. Okay, for a uniformly charged rod. Okay, for a uniformly charged rod. Okay, right. Now what we can do here is say this is the rod. Fine. Say this is the charged rod which is uniformly charged. Okay, now call its length as L. Okay, and Q is the net charge. Let us say Q is the net charge. Fine. Now let us call mr as the mass of the rod. Okay, let us call m as the mass of the rod. Fine. Now q is the net charge which is distributed uniformly over here over the rod. Yeah. Now if you define this linear charge density, we can write it as q divided by L. Okay. Now say this rod is rotating about one of its ends. Okay, it is rotating about one of its ends. Call it as O. Right. Now the angular momentum, you can say it is this way. The angular momentum is angular velocity. Right. Angular velocity is this way. Correct. Now what we'll do is consider a small element dx. Okay, let us consider a small element dx. Okay, now the charge, right, now the charge present on that elemental dx, let us call it as dq. Okay, charge present on the element dx, okay, is dq. Okay, then how can we define dq? dq will be equal to lambda dx, so that will be equal to, now lambda I can write it as q divided by L into dx. Okay, so this will be dq. Fine. Now you have to imagine that this rod itself is rotating in anti-clockwise direction with some angular velocity. Right. Now when the rod is rotating, this element, right, so it will have the same angular velocity omega, don't you say? Yes. So dq, okay, so dq, okay, now let us try to define m. Right, so m is equal to ia, right, so m is equal to ia. Right, now I, right, so I, and you can say I is equal to, okay, right, now yeah, let us talk about the current due to this revolution of dq alone. Okay, now you can say the current due to revolution of dq. Okay, so is di. Let us say di is the current due to the revolution of dq, because dq itself we can consider it as a small charge, right? Now the revolution of this small charge will constitute some current, so di, right? So di you can write it as dq divided by t. Okay, so dq divided by t. Fine. Now if I write for m, okay, if I write for m, you can say dm, okay, and the corresponding magnetic moment, correct? Corresponding magnetic moment, I can write it as di, okay, di into a, correct? dm is equal to di into a. Going by this, m is equal to ia, right? Now dm, right? So dm will write it as, now what is di? dq divided by t. Okay, now I can write it as dq divided by t into now a, right? So a, what is the area that is swept by this charge, that is the loop. Now you have to consider this elemental charge is moving this way, correct? It moves this way, right? So this is the area. Now if you consider the distance from the center to that elemental charge, what we have considered as some x, okay, let us say this distance as x, okay. Now the revolution is happening this way, the revolution is happening this way, okay, fine. So the area, okay, area of that particular loop, it looks like pi x square, is it not? So let us substitute that. So you can say dq divided by t into pi x square, fine, right? Now for t, what can I substitute? Now for t, I can substitute dq divided by 2 pi divided by omega, right? So pi x square, so pi and pi will get cancelled. So finally we are left with dm is equal to dq omega x square. Now we can substitute for dq here. dq will be q by l into dx, okay, q by l into dx. Alright, fine. So dq will be q by l into dx into omega x square. So this is our dm, right? Fine. Now let us separate the constants. So you can say omega q divided by l into x square dx, okay. Now this is the magnetic moment due to the elemental charge alone, okay, magnetic moment due to the elemental charge alone. So if you want the net magnetic moment, as you know, we have to integrate, right? So here we are integrating with respect to x, so we'll end up getting integration from 0 to L. See, x varies, okay. If you consider all the elemental charges here, okay, if you consider all the elemental charges element by element like this, so this is first element, second element, third element, like that. So x varies from 0 to L, right? So that is what we are going to substitute here. So L varies from 0 to L, sorry, x varies from 0 to L times integration of omega q divided by L into x square dx, okay. This omega q, it will come outside, right? So you can say omega q divided by L into integration of x square dx between 0 to L, right? So finally we have omega q divided by L into L cube divided by 3. So one L and L will get cancelled here. So we are left with omega q L square divided by 3, okay, omega q L square divided by 3. Now you can substitute for omega. Omega will be, yeah, you can say 2 pi, otherwise right, okay. Now oh sorry, I missed 2 here. dm is equal to dq omega x square by 2. Okay, so 2 I have missed here, so 2 will come here, dm 2 everywhere. Yeah, here also you will get 2. So sorry, I had missed 2. Okay, so 2 will come here. Yeah, sorry, 2 I have taken outside already, right? Okay, now finally 2 into 3, right? So 2 into 3, this will be omega q divided by 2 into L cube divided by 3. L square divided by 3. So this will be omega q L square divided by 6. Okay, yeah, omega q L square divided by 6. Yes, this is right. So next we can write, we know that the angular momentum of rod about one of its axis, about one of its ends, okay, so it is given as L is equal to I omega, right? So I, right? So I is moment of inertia of the rod about one of its ends. That's all. So L, okay. So L will be, if you let us take magnitude wise. So you can say the magnitude, it will be mr. Mr is mass of the rod, L square divided by 3 into omega. Okay. Now let us take the ratio. So if you take the ratio of, see here we have m, it is magnetic moment m, and L, right? So if you take the ratio of m by L, you will observe that you will get it as omega q L square by 6, the whole thing divided by m r L square omega by 3. Okay. So L square omega will get cancelled. Eventually you will get it as q divided by 2 mr. Okay, m, the ratio of magnetic moment to angular momentum, it is still q divided by 2 mr. Okay, now what this signifies is that the ratio, right, the ratio m divided by L, okay, is always a constant. Okay, is always a constant for a isolated body, is always a constant for a, you can say, a point charge which is revolving in uniform circular motion. Okay, for a isolated revolving charged body. Okay, so that is it should move in uniform circular motion. Okay, and also for uniformly charged bodies. Okay, uniformly charged bodies. Okay, so let us take few examples also the next class, so you will understand. Let's take 2 more examples. We'll continue in the next class. Okay, fine.